One of the most common reasons to consider a smile makeover using ultra-thin porcelain veneers is to add volume to the smile. So that means providing a better proportion. One of the things I see a lot when veneers are placed cheaply or not to the highest standard is that often that size is overdone, the proportion is overdone, everything ends up too big, and we see people with like bigger teeth than they should have for their face. So this patient came to see me with actually the opposite concern. His concern was that his front two teeth are too big. And what can we do about that? Well, from my point of view, it's about deconstructing why they might look big. And I think if you look at this photo, they definitely do look big. And all he was focusing on were the front two teeth. That's all he could see in photos. He feels like the rest of his smile is just not visible and these two teeth are too big. He was also very conscious, having done his research, being aware that actually veneer treatments, when not done the right way, can end up giving people teeth that are too big for them. And so that's how he ended up seeing me, because he felt that proportion of the befores and afters and videos he'd watched, that we understood that. So he wanted my advice as to what he thought I could do. If I look at these front two teeth, I think that part of the issue is they're not quite the same size. The symmetry isn't quite there. The right tooth is quite wide compared to the left tooth. There's a lack of surface reflection on the teeth, which means you can't actually disguise the sizing because the light is hitting the further forward tooth first. And so if you look to the sides, you can see that the side teeth here are very small in comparison. They're also set backward. So again, they're not getting the light reflection. And if we take the lips out of the way, you can see the overall gum level difference between the side teeth and the top teeth. What do we do in these situations? Well, the first thing is to consider, how can I make the teeth, front two, not look so big? And how can I improve the proportion with the rest of the teeth? So it's more of an issue of proportion in the face than it is actually physically the size of the teeth. So we will use various techniques to disguise size. If we do need to make someone's teeth bigger, let's say, we don't want them to be too big, so we will control that using the type of ceramic, the reflection on the ceramic, the texture, the levels of translucency, all of that has an impact. And that's why having our own ceramist and our own dental laboratory where we have total control means we can test all sorts of different techniques and come up with the right one. So we have a bank of our own sort of secret weapons where we basically will achieve something that otherwise can't be achieved. And in his case, I had to use that technique of texture and translucency. I knew that would give him a distraction from the size. I also knew I had to make these teeth slightly bigger, but then control that size. And we chose to do 6 teeth in this case, where 8 or 10 would be ideal, but we have to be realistic. And I knew that 6 teeth can sometimes cause a smile to look narrow behind it, so we built in the option of possibly adding a veneer later. There's his trial smile. You can see the teeth have a much better length, the proportion is better, and if you look at it from the front, he's got a much better profile and the teeth are actually a bit more in proportion. So moving on from the handmade temporaries to the final, they don't look as big as they were even in the temporaries. And the reason is not because we've made them smaller, it's because we've utilized the beauty of what ceramic can give us. It can give us surface texture, it can give us translucency, and what that does is it creates reflection zones that will distract the eye from size. It's not about physically making teeth smaller, it's about understanding proportion for your face and understanding material. If we get those two things right, you can actually shrink teeth using veneers, not only make them bigger.